Ladies and gentlemen, we have been living in a multipolar world, particularly after the Second World War. And until early 1990s, we had that privilege of multipolar world. And in that multipolar world, there was an Eastern Bloc and a Western Bloc, primarily USSR at that time, and of course, US and NATO countries and other Western countries in the other bloc. But after the demise of USSR to Russia, we, by design or by default, came to a unipolar world where USA was the predominant power, the unipower of the world, and whatever it takes, and the unquestionable command and leadership of the world with the US. Both in all fields of economy, military, political influence, diplomacy, and they enjoyed a full influence over the world affairs. The rise of China in these domains in the last 1 decade or so has really challenged the status quo in all these segments. And with the reduced stability, or I should say little improved stability of Russia in the current decade, it has challenged the status quo of unipolar world and leadership of US. As the Foreign Secretary of US said, and I quote, maybe not in so many words, but very close to it, he said, and I quote here, the biggest geopolitical test of 21st century is China. Engage China from position of strength with allies. China is the only country with economic, diplomatic, military, and technological power which can change world stable value system as we see them today. And we want to maintain that value system all over the world as it was, or it is so-called, at least at this time. In my opinion, this is the central theme of US Navy of freedom of navigation Operation Patrol to pass through EEZ of various countries to give a loud and a clear message that US continues to be the leader of the world, and all efforts will be directed, including freedom of navigation Operation Patrol, FONOP. This is not the only thing. The concept of freedom of navigation Operation Patrol is not a new idea. This was first used after Second World War and continued to take different shapes, and finally by the democratic government of President Obama in 2016, a document was issued with the same context of freedom of navigation Operation Patrol. What prompted democratic government of President Obama to do that was mainly China's growing influence politically, economically, and otherwise all over the world. And also, this is not the first time that US probably has crossed the Indian EEZ without a consent, pre-consent, etc. But the difference mainly lies here by issuing of a message or an open signal, not only to India, but to entire world, that in the eyes of law, according to US, that in the eyes of law of UNCLOS, this is not a privilege for India to declare that any particular ship, merchant or warship passing through EEZ must get a concurrence or their approval indirectly while passing through. While the Indians think differently, and it caused real embarrassment to Modi government in the face of being a strategic friend and an ally. And by the way, we all know that USA is not a signatory to UNCLOS until today, but they keep referring it to UNCLOS, both in terms of South China Sea and now recently in case of crossing into EEZ of other countries. India took it with more than a pinch of salt, particularly this message, because of a number of reasons. Firstly, obviously, because of being a strategic partner in many ways in the whole of Indo-Pacific region, be it the containment of China, be it the control of sea lines of communication, or be it the control of choke points. Indian Maritime Strategic Security Document of October 2015 is another really a document which puts salt on this wound to create that what India aspires to be in the Modi government, and then what it is being treated to. कि उनके साथ क्या हाथ हुआ है, उन्होंने बहुत ज्यादा महसूस किया जब ये सिग्नल सामने आया. Otherwise, it has been a continuous routine in the past many years. The other reasons is that India thinks, and rightly so in that sense, that most of their export and import are on the Indian Ocean. So they think, and also from this is geoeconomic point of view, and then they think that deep sea exploration, which is spelled out very well in detail in the Indian Maritime Security Strategy document, that they would like deep sea exploration and the security of the area, because they have an EEZ of 2.4 million square kilometer. By the way, Pakistan का जो EEZ है और कॉन्टिनेंटल शेल्फ दोनों मिला के 2,90,000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर है, which may be a big area. I mean, almost like the area of a little less than Balochistan area. But think of 2.4 million square kilometer. And then from Indian perspective, particularly the Indian Maritime Security Document, strategy document, when there are 3 or 4 different distinct parts which make them feel the boss of the area, or even to an extent to go beyond that and to say in so many words that we need to control the sea lines of communication of Pacific and Indian Ocean. We need to control all the 9 choke points of the Indian Ocean, which they have spelled out. And I just, for the sake of your participant, spell out these, although most of them are well known to all of us. In the Western Indian Ocean, there are 5 choke points they have identified. Of course, the Strait of Hormuz, Bab el-Mandab, Suez Canal itself, Mozambique Channel, and Cape of Good Hope. And 4 in the Eastern Indian Ocean, that's Malacca Strait, Sunda Strait, Lombok Strait, and Ombai or Vetenar Strait. They have spelled out in so many words that India needs to have a control of these choke points between on both sides towards Pacific and Indian Ocean, and at the same time control sea lanes of communication in the entire of Indo-Pacific Ocean. Similarly, on the security issue, the same thing has been, or similar attitude has been spelled out to become a superpower by adding from 137 naval units in Indian Navy to 200 units in 2027. Although this very ambitious goal may not be achieved, and it has already been reduced officially from 200 units to 175 units because of the paucity of fund, and because their budget, which was 18% in 2013 and 12, has now reduced to 13%. So it may further shrink. But what I'm trying to say with this Indian Maritime Security strategy policy or document that here is a country which has this big EEZ and its coastline over 3,000 and its aspirations to become a regional power, if not superpower immediately. And somebody else is trying to pass through and declared objectives are being contested by them. So really, they are thinking of creating third fleet command, and they are also thinking of going in the South Pacific, maybe to Fiji Island, and they are also thinking of upgrading their listening post in Seychelles and etc. etc. So they might, and they are looking for two conceptual areas. One is sea control and the other is sea denial. Sea control, they want to do it in collaboration with the other countries. And for that, they need bases. They think they will go as far south to Indonesia and also to Penang and Maldives, including Trincomalee in the south of and the Sri Lankan port. So these are those areas. They want to have bases from Cape of Good Hope up to Mombasa and across that on the eastern Indian Ocean side to Trincomalee and Maldives and Penang, etc. So with these powers or aspiration to this level of power and their own friend and strategic partner is doing, and then of course telling all over the world, because this message was primarily meant for India as well as all over the world, because they have been crossing even through mainland China's EEZ. So these areas and these things do matter, and they have reflected on it. The other areas where I was to so the major reason why is this now so boldly and loudly in the international media? In my humble opinion, the whole concept or majority of the reason revolve along the thinking of maintaining world leadership in political, in other many domains. But we know that by in 2013, by that time, the power which once had with the European Union was shifted to US, North America, and the power and wealth has already shifted to Asia. And in Asia, of course, China plays a major important role. And of course, India is doing something similar. In the recent context of Quad and Malabar exercises, the similar thinking is working to ensure the net result is the world leadership. So Quad exercise, Malabar exercises, which were happening from 1992 until today, 24th of this series, in which in November 2020, when all the four participated, became almost like a military wing of Quad. And Quad Summit in March 12, 2021 spelled out everything scientific to medical to manufacture to industry to all climate change, but did not speak a word of country China, which really shows that Joe Biden's aspirations or would like to continue as a leader of this is not through military confrontation anywhere, including China. Rather, it would like to do something more differently than this. The result in front of them is very much there, that in the face of China and India's land dispute, they have pulled back from their positions and the economy, which is intertwined between the Americans, the Chinese, and the Indians, will push them back. And they have already arrived to a conclusion that military confrontation is not and will not take them anywhere. So it is the negotiation, it is the talk which will, and it was very obvious from the joint statement of Quad as well as other forum which we have heard. So the question is, why did they do it? It has been done in the past from 1940s, 14s, and then up to this place. Only difference is now they have put their foot down that our interpretation, according to Article 19 and according to Article 24 of UNCLOS, it is very much a legal thing to pass through somebody else's EEZ, whereas India thinks differently. So it's a question of interpretation, which will define Article 19, 24, and one more, which will define legal basis of this, because it gives a very big list of conditions that under these conditions, even warship and the military aircraft can pass without taking any permission or concurrence from the country concerned. But at the same time, there are responsibility of the countries going through and their responsibilities for the coastal states. As far as Pakistan is concerned, we have 12 nautical mile of territorial waters and then 290,000 square kilometer of EEZ. I will be very happy to listen to other people, and I would not like to continue with this. My talk that how or at all it has already affected us, and our line to take is in accordance with UNCLOS, which will permit EEZ or otherwise. So I leave that to forum to discuss, and we can talk in question answer session more on the aspect of how it has been highlighted at such a high level now by the world community, rather than 19-20 countries EEZ have been crossed by the American friends and foe both, and they have not been any problem to an extent of this level which has come. Thank you very much, sir.